I'll just
All right, anyway, under bone development, you need to know ossification is the converting of cartilage into bone. Ossification is the converting of cartilage to bone. And then also know that bones elongate by growing at the epiphyseal plates. And then for broken bones, you just need to know an impacted fracture. It's a complete fracture in which one fragment is driven into the other one.
You said a complete fracture?
No, impacted.
Impact.
Impacted.
And that's the only one of those you need.
Yes, that's the only one. Okay, moving on to joints. Joints are essential in articulation. Make sure you know that. And what articulation is refers to the smooth movement of one bone upon another. So they're essential in articulation, which is the smooth movement of one bone upon another. Make sure you know the 4 types of freely movable joints. They are ball and socket, hinge, pivot, and gliding. Those are the 4 types of freely movable joints.
I got that, Felicia. Thank you.
And then under the immovable joints, we talked about the spaces in a baby's skull. The spaces are filled with a fibrous membrane known as fontanelles. That should be under immovable joints. Fontanelles, the spaces. We talked about sutures. Remember the sutures of the skull?
Okay.
And then the spaces between the skull bones are filled with fibrous membranes known as fontanelles.
So you have to know
At birth.
sutures?
All right, you don't have to know sutures, you need to know fontanelles. Okay, ligaments and tendons, you need to know both of those. A ligament is, it basically connects bone to bone. It holds a joint in position. It holds the 2 bones together. It usually stretches over the joint. And then you have a tendon, which attaches muscle to bone. All right, so ligaments are holding bone to bone, and tendons hold muscles to bone. Under the anatomy of a joint, you just need to know the synovial fluid. Its purpose is to lubricate the joint and act as a shock absorber between the bones. And then, I think the last thing was the diseases and disorders of the bones. So that is arthritis, bunion, osteoporosis, rickets, and sprain. And so you would match, it'll be in that matching section. So you match the disease with the description. Yes, did you miss something?
Yeah, can you repeat it one more time?
We just did the diseases and disorders.
Okay.
You need to know all of them that I gave you. So arthritis, bunion, rickets, osteoporosis, and sprain. Okay, then the muscular system. So under the types of muscle tissue, you need to know that skeletal muscle is striated and voluntary. This is skeletal muscle, striated and voluntary. Visceral muscle, you need to know where it's located. It's located in the walls of internal organs. For example, like the stomach and the intestines, but it's the walls of the internal organs. And it's involuntary. So this is visceral muscle, involuntary.
Do we need to know it's not striated?
No, don't need to know that. And you don't have to worry about cardiac muscle, because we'll talk more about that when we get there. All right, under muscle structure, you need to know the 2 kinds of protein filaments in the myofibrils. They are myosin and actin. So we talked about the fascicles and then moved on to the myofibrils. So this is the two kinds of filaments in the myofibrils. The myosin, which is thicker, and the actin, which is thinner. Okay, under muscle contractions, you need to know that contraction requires the energy derived from ATP. So contraction requires the energy derived from an ATP molecule. Under muscle fatigue and physical condition, the decrease of ATP and oxygen results in the buildup of lactic acid, and that's called muscle fatigue. Or that's what causes muscle fatigue, really. The decrease of both ATP and oxygen and the buildup of lactic acid causes muscle fatigue. Okay. Under muscle groups, you need to know about synergists. They are muscles that assist the prime mover. They're called synergists. Synergists. This should be under muscle groups. And it's the muscles that assist the prime mover. All right, then the disorders we just wrote down, the muscle disorders, atrophy, convulsions, and cramps. Once again, it'll be mixed in with the other disorders. There'll be a matching section. And then the diagrams, right? So this is the rear view. Make sure you have that listed down. Remember, the diagram's on page 513. So that's the rear view. And then this is the front view of the list of muscles. That will be matching on your test. Okay, the muscle structure. There's just a few of the 700 muscles that are in our body. Yes.
What do we need to know for muscle disorders again?
The three of them that I gave you.
The cramps, convulsions, and atrophy?
And atrophy, yeah. So those disorders, muscle disorders, bone and joint disorders, and then skin disorders. All of those disorders are going to be in one big matching section. Okay? And the diagram is also matching. Any questions? I think you got everything. Okay. We're watching another video.
My man.
Or we might, but we'll be pushing it.
Can we go to that?
Zach, could you make that?
Yes.
Oh, I thought maybe you just have a line around.
Yeah.
If you did, it would have really made me happy. No, he just has a line around.
Well, after I made it, I had it lined around.
Okay.
I had a line around it.
Full on jacket and everything was like, could be like zips and stuff, but I figured the shirt would
Nobody else is speaking. The camera? Question mark?
Oh, yeah.
Is the camera still going?
Maybe, who knows? It could have broken again.
Once again.
Don't zoom in yet. Under the man we find his clothes, and under the clothes we find his nucleus.